And we should be live by now. Darren, can you hear me?
I can. Good
I can
morning,
hear you. Good morning to you as well, man.
good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching from.
Yeah, we should probably refrain from saying what time of day it is because we don't know.
No,
At least I
exactly.
don't. I get off at graveyard shifts. I work again. I get off again.
Yeah,
It seems to be a
your
plethora.
brain's all over the place.
Dude, I swear to God, I woke up today and I had no idea what day it was. It's Tuesday, isn't it? And that's not a joke, I promise. I really thought it was Tuesday this morning for some ungodly reason. I'm like, it's Saturday morning. Now it's Sunday morning already. How the hell did we get here this fast?
Well, no, yeah,
Like symposium was the weekend. I can't believe last weekend.
yeah, it goes so quick.
Don't
Yeah,
believe that, but it was. And they're up in Gettysburg this weekend, which unfortunately I was not able to go. But one of our members did. John Roos got out and got to see
John
that.
Reese,
So part of
he put some
Unfiltered
great
Historian went.
pictures up. Yeah, he put some great pictures up. He
I guess
put
that's
some
another
pictures up
thing.
of that
That's good.
mural that's in Gettysburg. That was great.
Hmm.
Some pictures of Mr. Wittenberg doing his chat. Mr. Mikowski was there in the morning. I think he replaced David Powell, was it? Or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it was. I
Because
think it was
he couldn't
crazy.
attend apparently because poor guy had a car accident, didn't he? And then he had something go wrong with his electrics or something, so he couldn't take it. So Chris Mikowski saved the day.
Yeah. Oh, and it was a hell of a night at work. Again, for some reason in the United States, maybe it's worldwide. I don't know if it's a problem or not, but we have yet again lost another employee due to laziness. They don't want to work. They don't want to come in and work at night. So since I've been there since March, I've lost about almost 2 dozen people.
So are you busy at night?
Yeah, especially on like a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, yeah. It,
Yeah,
it
people
gets it
coming
gets
in
really
buying
busy.
beer and just stuff
Well, you
like
can't
that.
buy beer after midnight,
Oh
and
right,
which is
okay, fair
nice.
enough.
Like that's
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
good thing. But therein lies the problem of the bars letting out at like 2, and
yeah.
a lot of the bar scene
Everyone's
in
hungry.
Fredericksburg is
Yeah,
kind of like, eh. Um, there's some good bars. Like there's some nice ones like Rebellion Whiskey and places like that where it's just a straight up whiskey bar. But then you have some of these like really ramshackle like hole in the walls that I used to frequent. But then I like now sit down and go to like Strange Ways, or which is
hmm,
definitely something we're gonna hit up for sure. I want you to
yeah.
like get in the whole like
Actually,
Frederick
when
City
I
experience.
visited Fredericksburg, I went in a bar right next to the river, and it was
Mhm.
like a decking area. I don't know what it was called.
Brock's. It's called
Yeah,
Brock's Riverside
that's
Grill. I
it.
know exactly where you went to.
And I also
That's where we hold
stayed.
our that's where we have our roundtable meetings at actually.
Okay, so I stayed in the Kenmore Inn as well.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Very
Well, you could
posh.
just stay at the
We,
Salem
we
Church
had a
Inn
lot of money at
here.
the time. It was $2 to the pound back
Yeah,
then.
and by
So we
September
were
10th, I
yeah,
will be fully moved into the Salem Run place, and
yeah.
that is going to give us the opportunity to stay at the Salem Church Inn, as I call it, or the Unfiltered Historian Hotel,
There you
something
go.
like that.
Right
I
on the
don't know.
battlefield of Second Fred.
Right on the battlefield. And you're going to have a book to read that you just
I am. So I want to let everybody know I finally got hold of a copy of Chris Mikowski's Chris White's Forgotten Front, which is the Second Fredericksburg Battle.
and I get to go pick up our good friend at the Park Service. So we have a friend that runs the bookstore of the Fredericksburg Battlefield. She's a great friend to me and has been very supportive through some of my trials and tribulations early this year. And she was able to, or we have been trying to secure me a copy of Gary Gallagher's Fredericksburg essays. So I have
Mm-hmm.
every single one. I have Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Wilderness, or I have Chancellorsville, Wilderness, Spotsylvania. Hell, even I have Antietam. But the one that I don't have is Fredericksburg. And every time she gets it, it sells out before I
Oh,
get to come pick it up. So I was like, hey, if you get it and
really
hold it
nice.
for
Yeah.
me, I will come get it Wednesday. So I'm going to make a pit stop Wednesday and come and pick that copy up because I have been dying to get that. So I'm hoping that, Wednesday looks good. My paycheck looks a little bit better than it did last time, especially due to, having to start putting forth that money because, on September 10th, that's the big day. It's finalized for good. And I will be fully and functionally moved out of my old house. It's been a long process, and I'm ready to finally actually have my address switch and be at a new home. Especially with everything considered, it's been refreshing. It's making me available to do more videos for you guys, and in fact, it's put me in a quieter environment to come and film these things. So even if I'm not staying that night or what have you, I get to come over when I want to film at least, and I get to sleep here at least because I'm still lugging back and forth a lot of stuff from the place I lived before, and just getting the chance to sleep here a few times. And I haven't fully moved in. Even there's a lot I've got to do still. And I'm just realizing how much of a process that is. It was just at this point, it's really just securing the place and getting it set up so that instead of having to like have a full in move on day or move in day on the 10th, it's a full on couple weeks preparation to get it to where it needs to be. So it's not as stressful. Once I can get to the day of the 10th and do that big old signing, we should be good. But
Cool.
yeah, we're there for you, man. And by the time you get here, it'll be furnished. It'll have the guest bedroom available. It'll have a stocked fridge. It's already got a stocked fridge with my torpedo IPAs. But thing is, I don't really have the niche to drink as much as I used to, especially being on my own. Not that I had any issue. It was just I don't really get to go and touch my stocked fridge because I never have the time. I'm always getting off in the mornings. And I
Yeah,
like to have, I save them for my Civil War friends. When I have a Civil War friend over, we'll have a beer or two and we'll go out on my deck and we'll talk about Wolford because he's right there. And
he's
we have
right there.
company too. We have a family of kittens that was just born in the woods. So when I come outside, I have to go say hi to my unofficial pets because if I started bringing them inside, they would cost a little bit. But
Yeah.
I found a loophole is that my kittens are free because I just leave a food dish and a small little water bowl out in the mornings, and I have a family of kittens outside when I
There you
wake up
go.
to come
You
pet and
don't
say
have to
hi
worry
to.
about the vet bill afterwards.
Mm-mm. Well, I would now. I will if I see one of those little boys or
Yeah, of
girls
course you
sick. I
would.
will
Yeah,
take
you'd
them.
look after
I'm
him.
a
Yeah,
cat guy. Oh, I'm a cat guy,
yeah, of
big
course
time.
you are. Yeah, you
So I
like
got some babies
pussies
outside.
anyway. Yeah.
Hey, this is the unfiltered historian, guys. If you can't hack it, I'm sorry, but it slipped. No filter. Oops.
Sorry.
Well, no,
Anyway,
don't you apologize. That's the unfiltered
so
historian, man. We know this.
also,
Mhm.
oh, what was I going to say? Yeah, also another place I visited at the time. It was quite a new complex. It was like a complex of like nightclubs and bars and that, and it was all new. What's that place called? You know what I mean?
No, because it probably doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, probably not. This was 2006.
Wasn't the
It was sort
Spotsylvania Mall or Central Park?
yeah, it was sort of like yeah, it was probably that actually. Yeah,
It was a
it was
Spotsylvania
like
Mall.
that. Yeah, I think so. Maybe yeah. It was quite new at the time. I
Sure.
remember we said to the taxi driver, we said we want to go somewhere cool. He went, "Oh, I'll take you here." But you know
If he
what? The
took you,
funniest
if
one
you
there,
said you
everything.
to the taxi driver you want to go somewhere cool, and that man took you to the mall, we need to track him down when you get back, and we need to
Yeah,
get a refund because I'm going to show you some cool stuff. Not just because Tyler knows all the cool places. I
yeah.
mean I'm a Fredericksburgian, if you will. I've been here for basically my whole life. I was born in Leesburg, Virginia, actually. So for those familiar with the Balls Bluff battlefield, which I actually really adore. I was literally born like a stone's throw across. In fact, I'm pretty sure with the spot I was born in, the Cornwall Hospital, was part of some of the marches, particularly Barksdale's Mississippians, the 11th Mississippi, 18th Mississippi, some of the ones we talk about when we go to Gettysburg. Those are the ones that are marching through my birthplace. And I'm living in Colonial Beach in, just a brief period up until I was probably at eighth age to go to first grade in America. I don't know what age that would be, but I think that was like 6 for me. And then I moved to Fredericksburg. So I've basically been here for about 20 years.
Cool.
Which is incredible to say. I remember like
Yeah,
saying I've been here 7 years, a long time ago. Now I'm like, fuck, I've been here 20 years.
yeah.
That's incredible too. So today's episode, what we did today it's not really a big like chat about history too much because we're actually going to end this thing closer to 9. Due to just some things I have to do today. And again, I will plan to go live this afternoon. Darren, if you have the time, cool. If not, don't worry about it. I just want to do a somewhat of a study today and really talk about some Civil War stuff more in depth. So this is more of a prep up. I don't know like your later plans. I know you have plans with your family later, but I'm going to be back from my visiting stuff around 12:30 or 1 o'clock this afternoon, my time. I don't know what time that is for you. Again, my math and I'm a
Yeah,
historian, not a
I'm not
mathematician.
100% sure. I might be unavailable then, but
No
yeah.
problem. Even if it's a little bit later, I don't work until 9:30
Yeah,
p.m. my time tonight, so I
yeah.
have some time. But I would like
Okay.
to. I need to make up for a lot of the videos I haven't made. I know
Um,
the move week when I first started bringing furniture over here, it was
One
really
thing I'm
tough.
definitely going to talk to you about is the fact that you and Tim the other day were talking maps, and then I ended up going out and buying 2 books because of you two. So the
That's
American
actually
Battlefield
why I wanted
Trust,
to do one later with you because
yeah,
book chat.
they're American Battlefield Trust ones, but they're very good. They're really easy. What I wanted is I have got an atlas book of the Civil War, which I actually bought from the Visitor Centre in Fredericksburg.
Wow.
Back in 2006, but it's too chunky and too heavy to carry around on a battlefield. So I thought, I need something a bit lighter. So the
Yeah.
American Battlefield Trust do these really cool little books, and I picked it up, and it hasn't got every single battle in there from the Eastern Theatre, but it's got most of them. But then I ended up buying the Western Theatre as well, so it's literally got the main ones in there.
That's all that matters, man.
And
As
you
long
can
as it's
take
got
it
those
out on
big
the
ones.
battlefield with you. You can open it up and you can see where everything is.
That's what I'm talking about. So
So,
when you get here, save some money for books. I know books are
oh,
expensive.
definitely,
Are you going
definitely.
to be able to bring some back with you? Do you know how that works? Like,
I
can
am,
you bring
yeah.
a
I
lot?
mean, I'm definitely going to bring some back, and also I'm definitely, wanting to get Chris Mikowski to sign a couple for me, so I
Now,
can
I
sell
tell you
them.
what, I
I'm
think a
only
cool
joking.
idea. I'll tell you what. Are you able to bring books from the UK over to the US?
I am, yeah.
We should do a book exchange. You should, and just between the two of us, if you'd like. I mean, we could do it with the unfiltered too if I talk to the guys. But what I'll do is I will go to my visitor center one of these days. I get paid before you come out here, and I will pick up three of the most important Civil War books on this area that I can think of that I
Mm-hmm.
find personally interesting. If you find me just two or three of the ones from your area that you find and your expertise of
Mm-hmm.
the UK history,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what genre of history it is, just something that you find interesting. Grab those, bring them. We'll do exchange. I'll sign some over to you. Obviously, just like a letter of personal, like thank you for everything. But I'm not the authors of them. Just writing you a note. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it'd be cool to have like a tangible
yeah,
thing like
definitely.
that.
I agree with that. Yeah,
So cool. And yeah,
but
but just
I understand you're planning a visit to the UK next year, hopefully. Anyway,
I am. I was gonna go to a show, of course, Delta variant depending, but I'm even thinking about skipping the show and saving my vacation for a little bit of like a week and a half trip over there because I there's some
yeah,
sites I really want to see, and I really
right.
want to get over to France to be able to see some of the World War One battlefields. I'm not necessarily too interested in the World War Two ones just yet. I am
Well,
thinking about my first World War Two venture being
I
Sicily.
I actually live a 15-minute. Well, I wouldn't even say that. 10-minute drive from the Eurotunnel, and I
Oh,
live probably 10 minutes from Dover. So you have definitely got to come and stay in Folkestone, and I will take you around. I can't promise to put you up because my wife will kill me, but I'm
it's
working on it.
okay.
Obviously, I
Okay.
want to repay the favour.
No, it's all right.
But,
You don't have to.
we've got a
I
very
look when
small
I do
house.
these things for you, man. I don't look for anything in return. This
But
is literally just out of
there is a
you
really cheap hotel here.
okay.
Uh, but also, I'd like to take you about, and I'm going to have some holiday myself, and I'm going to take you
Yeah.
about.
So we'll have to
Do some
corresponding.
unfiltered historian here in the UK.
I can
I'll
hear
take
the seagulls. That's kind of cool. I've never even
you.
heard that. You got them all over the place, huh?
So, as far as Folkestone's concerned, we've got a very important place called the Folkestone Arm, and it
Yeah.
was built. So it's like I was having drinks there the other night with my wife on our anniversary.
I
It's
saw.
actually,
Happy belated,
yeah,
by the way,
yeah. Thank
everybody.
you.
And wish
So
them a happy belated.
it's been converted obviously recently, but it was left in a wreck, and it's had multiple uses over the years. But during World War One, nearly 9 million men left that station. So it's attached to a train station, got on a ship, and went across to France to fight in World War One.
Mm,
And we're not just talking British; we're talking American, Canadian, and any Commonwealth country involved in World War One were
wow.
sent from that station.
Really.
Came through Folkestone. Yeah,
Mm,
they came from London down to Folkestone, and off they went to France. And of course, as we know, a lot of them didn't come home.
sure.
So that's pretty cool.
That's
I'm going to do a video on that at some point. I've got a local historian guy that's really keen to get out,
okay.
and we've been putting it on the shelf because of COVID. But we're finally ready. And the funny thing is, he lives one street over from me, and I've
Does he
never met
really?
him in person yet. I've only talked to him on Facebook.
Mm,
Um, but also, he's got a lot of knowledge on local cemeteries as well. And we've
okay.
got some, so there's a lot of, soldiers from World War One buried around Folkestone in different cemeteries, and maybe even from other wars. So we're going to go around and we're going to try and find out a little bit of history of some of these guys.
Sounds good to me. Well, just 2 seconds. I've mentioned earlier, I have to go do my laundry duty really quickly just because I have a responsibility now. Wow, what is that?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna grab my ACW books of the week, the things that I picked up from the emerging Civil War that I think might interest a lot of you. We're just kind of doing an impromptu today to really get an idea of what's going on in the world of the unfiltered historian this upcoming week, and we're going to start talking about the scheduling because I'm looking at some dates. For some talks this week, so that that's going to be in the works too. But if you guys give me a moment, I want Darren to talk about whatever he wants to for like 30, 40 seconds while I just go do this. It might even be a minute. But if you guys just bear with me, I'm going to pop off the screen for a moment, mute my mic because I don't want any embarrassing moments of me stubbing my toe and shouting words. I mean, they'd be fine, they'd be audible and everything, but it would sound just like, rah, 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 rah. Like I don't want y'all to hear that because knowing me, I'm going to stub my toe on something. But I will be right back in just a moment.
Anyway, guys, so this morning Tyler shared something from his Crossroads and Crossfire blog on WordPress, but the name has now been changed to The Unfiltered Historian. And what we'll do is we'll leave the link up in the chat in a minute. I'll get Tyler to pop it up for everyone, so that because he's done some interesting articles, and I'm going to get Tyler to discuss one of them in a minute, what he put up this morning. I did share it around some of the Facebook groups, but because the name's changed now, the link's not available anymore. So we'll get Tyler to put that up in a minute into the chat. And yeah, so again, like I've said to you guys before, my main aim is to share English history with you guys, British history. But again, I have got the plans to come over to the States in October. It just depends on whether the United States open the border. I did think I was going to be able to make the symposium. Obviously, I wasn't. That was my goal. Now I'm going to go and attend the Central Virginia's Battlefields Trust conference, which is in the beginning of October. And me and Tyler have got a few things planned. Tyler's been good enough to offer me a place to stay, so he saved me a lot of money. And we're going to go up to Gettysburg. We're going to go to Antietam. We're going to go to Harper's Ferry. And we're also going to visit the John Brown farm, the house where he was stationed before he attacked Harper's Ferry. And I've got a lot of admiration for John Brown, and I love his story. And I think a lot of it is probably to do with the fact that recently, like most of you guys have probably watched the Good Lord Bird. Some of you might have read it. An absolutely great TV program. My only criticism of it is I didn't like the way it ended, because that is not the way the raid ended. But there you go. We'll let them off. You're allowed a little bit of artistic license sometimes, and that's what they did. But it's such a great TV series. It is brilliant. So yeah, I like the story of John Brown. So we're going to visit that. So we will visit the fire engine house, I think it is, where the final assault. Although from watching videos recently of that, it's actually in the wrong location. They moved it, but apparently they're going to move it back to the correct location. But yeah, that's going to be cool. And again, then we're going to go back to Fredericksburg, and we're going to do a lot of stuff in Fredericksburg. I've got a look at the field campaign. Oh, welcome back, and all that.
Welcome back. Thank you.
Forward to.
So let me get the coffee. So this is one of my favorite coffees from Sheets, by the way, and one of my coworkers. He's a good buddy of mine, and actually he went battlefield stomping with me this weekend for the first time. So I was really excited to have him along. He was kind of introduced to 3 of them. We didn't get to go to Spotsylvania because I wanted to save that for a little bit later. But I hope that he got something good out of it, and he's been tuning in every now and again to watch, and has been a supporter over on Twitch. So I do thank him for that, and I appreciate him making this for me this morning on my way out the door. And also he volunteered to come work tonight, even though he's working this morning. So this guy is brave as hell. I've done it before too, so I know how it feels, but he was just like, I'll come work with you. So it's good to have a friend in a workplace too. You don't go to work to make friends, but sometimes you go to work and accidentally make a friend, or just happen across somebody with the like mind. And it's really cool, I think, to do that. So I just wanted to shout out that. I know it's not really history related, but maybe we'll have a different perspective on history the second time we go to a battlefield, because we kind of blitz through 3. And if you do 3 battlefields in this area one day, you're not going to retain shit. And he even said that he goes, I can't retain a thing. I said, well, I'll take you to Fredericksburg and we'll finish out at Fredericksburg for a few hours. I promise you will get something out of that one. Because even though some of these might be bloody or, crazy, I think some of the battles don't have to necessarily be bloody or crazy for us to have a personal connection with it, if you know what I mean. And when we get to that route and, when I've gotten him there, it was insane to see somebody who has never been into that kind of history, and just be able to be there and experience it, and maybe get an experience of his own. And I felt bad too at some points, because I met those guys that I was telling you about at Sheets, walking through, and he was discussing what it was like to see that, and that you have a bright future. And I'm hearing this from people that aren't even in the Civil War field. And that it's not that like, oh yeah, I'm so cool. It's just, but it's wanting to do this my entire life, and then having so many doubts because of the education, and people are just like, oh, you don't have a degree, then are people going to take me serious? But I've found that, and again, this is not just trying to boast. I feel like I have to say that in this history field because it's like the first thing people get to. And I just want to clarify that, from a young kid, I dreamed of being somehow, and I didn't know this was going to be the prospect, but being a historian and going to college. Things happen in life to where right now it's not a feasible thing just because of my time, but I have studied over a decade tremendously, here's that word again, on these battlefields, specifically Civil War. You know what I mean? And I think being able to do that and making friends and connections with so many people who have done that and have been able to mentor and teach me, I feel like I have a leg up than the average college kid because I'm going to be site specific focusing. You know what I mean? Like I have been able to study my specific field. I don't have all the extras that I have to worry about. I am literally just able to zero in on my craft and hone on that and
You,
try to continue to
yeah,
improve.
you live in a very good area. That's the other thing as well. You're surrounded by some good
Right.
people as
And to
well.
have tutelage under
You've
Greg
got
Mertz.
literally,
Right.
what is it, 6 battlefields on your doorstep, near enough.
4 if we count
Yeah, and I mean, then
all
you
the
can.
major campaigns. Yeah.
You're not that far from Richmond, are you? So you've got
Hour drive on a
Petersburg
good
and
day.
stuff. And then if you go the other way, you're not that far from Manassas, are you? Really? Not
Nope, been there
technically.
twice. Now before I have made my friends with the Civil War industry, I've never actually been to Manassas. So this year
No.
was last year. Excuse me, my first year is actually going to Manassas, and oh wow, man, what a trip that was to be able to see that battlefield and anything. However, without further ado, I brought some books out because I told you guys later today I'm going to be doing a book chat, and the ones that I have in front of me now are what I call my for fun reads, or the ones that I really kind of relax with, but there doesn't discredit any of their importance to the field that these things give out. In fact, the reason I pick these for fun reads are because my to read pile of my serious shit is getting kind of heavy now. I've shifted gears off of battles. I know the past few I said I'm going to do Fredericksburg, I'm going to do Petersburg, but a lot of you have talked to me recently when it comes to the Civil War, and I have really wanted to focus in on the human side of the Civil War rather than just the broad picture of battles. And I'm really even moving away from most of like the military minute battlefield action that I talk about and try to study all the time. I love it. I still like reading about it. But I'm going to get to that pile as as we get towards the end of this. But the first book I want to show you guys is this one. These are my ECW pickups too. I didn't get to go through all the books I got at ECW. This one is a little interesting. So the back's a little beat up. The spine's coming off a bit too, like as you can see, and the pages are falling out. But it was only $3. So I looked and I was like, okay, it's cool. The book's title is The Prison Life of Jefferson Davis.
Wow, that sounds really
I
interesting.
didn't flip to
Yeah.
the first
Hmm.
page. I only flipped to the dedicate, the date of publication, which is again MDCCLXVI. We have to find out what year that is. So let me type that in real quick on the search bar here and what Roman numeral that is because
So, so while you're searching that, just explain. So, do they obviously sell books at the symposium?
correct donation books. This one was donated from the Confederate Museum, actually, in Richmond, that does no longer exist. It's the American Civil War Museum now. So I thought that was kind of cool. And the year that they were presented this book was 1948, the year my father was born of all time. So that it kind of had some significance there when I finally found out that. And that was interesting. And then the publications, obviously, this is an original, but it's who it was presented to and who signs this book that actually had me buy it after I passed up on it. And somebody was looking it up and almost bought it. And I'm glad that I have a good friend in John Tracy to Facebook message me during the symposium, say, you might want to get that book.
Mm-hmm.
So this was published in 1866.
Wow.
That's what those Roman numerals are. And in the foot pages of the book, it's W. M. Geary or Kerr or something, and they're from Coluca, Tennessee, and they were serving in Company G of the First Tennessee. And their autograph is in it. Both per people to serve in the First Tennessee
Yeah.
have signed. Those are Civil War soldiers' handwriting,
Wow.
not copies, just
Mm-hmm.
$3. So, I felt that this was not just a book to read because it's falling apart so much, that this
No,
is something I want
it's
to
not.
add to my artifact cases, to my
Right, yeah.
potential unfiltered museum one day, which would be
Mm-hmm.
awesome. It wouldn't be called unfiltered museum unless it does, and that's cool. Hey,
Yeah, right,
but,
man.
but that's like above all the cool books I was able to come up with. That by far tends to be the one I just keep looking at on the shelf, and I'm like, I need to get a box for you to open the pages up. I want to open the book to the pages to even showcase the Confederate Museum of Richmond, because that's no longer a thing anymore. And I think there's a way to interpret that and the signature of the First Tennessee in there as well, and also incorporate some Jefferson Davis stuff and maybe a little monograph. So of course, if I do end up getting that in a shadow box or something, Dan Casella, welcome to the stream over on Facebook. He said Jersey Blue over here. All righty. Jersey's a great state. You got Phil Kearney out of there. I'm surprisingly actually kind of a Kearney nut, so I'm glad to see that you're popping in here. So do thank you for coming in, and I do hope you enjoy our stream today. We are just kind of doing a nonchalant little, just kind of a chat today and talking about some books I got from the ECW before I talk about the big study I'm going into, other than Upton. Upton's obviously my priority. But I do have a knack for wanting to get into the human interest aspect of the war, and the I guess it's anthropology would just be a better word for it. And I realized that when it comes to studying history, I used to credit myself as wanting to be a military historian and really focus in on the movements and the military minutia of battle. But man, oh man, have these human interest stories really become something popular and something that really, I think, connects us all to the Civil War. No matter where you're from, it's human and it's real, and it's that empty chair that we have talked about so much, bringing itself back up to rear. The next book, speaking of human interest, is one that's rather new, and I didn't know he was going to be there, and I didn't really even put one and two together because I was just so excited about the symposium that I can't even tell you how excited I was. But I was listening to an audiobook. I purchased it 2 days before the symposium, and it's written by Tom McMillan, and it's called Gettysburg Rebels, and I absolutely am loving it so far. So it's my riding to work ebook or audiobook, and it's my just driving around. So when I'm in the car, rather than listening to music, I find that I drive better and safer if I'm listening to an audiobook and I'm focusing. It sounds crazy because normally I'm supposed to be focusing on the road, which I am, but as I'm focusing on the road, I
I've
focus
been
so
doing
much
the
that
same
I
lately.
stare out.
Yeah. If I'm on my
And
own, that's what I do as well. If I'm going on a long drive somewhere, I'll put the audio.
so when I arrived at the symposium, I started going to the book tables, of course, and I was trying to see who had what and what was available for me to read, and who to meet and who to talk to and who to network with and make friends with. And one of the ones that popped up was Tom McMillan. And he wrote
Mm-hmm.
Gettysburg Rebels, and I didn't know that at all. I had no clue that this
Mm-hmm.
was his book.
Yeah.
His newest book is called Armistead and Hancock Behind the Gettysburg Legend of Two Friends at the Turning Point of the Civil War. Now, that book is, I think, one of those ones that I pride so much because, of course, the eventual research I'm doing is a dispelling of myths of Emory Upton and bringing maybe to light some of the contributions that we may not even thought of today. And this is very much along the same lines as to what my ideology and focuses are when it comes to publishing one day. So, of course, that was a very important book to get. And, of course, these books also come along with signatures from the authors because these guys are nice enough to sit down and talk to you while they're at the symposium and sign your books. And they even knock it down $10 prices because they know you're at the symposium. And it's just this big, huge party event. That, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a party, but it does feel like a party atmosphere with everybody getting together again and really getting to engage in some very, very good lectures or talks that take place. The next book I got, I actually did not get this at the symposium, but I'm counting it as a symposium because Dan Welch was nice enough to sign it for me. Chris Mikowski, who is a great friend of mine, he stops in at Sheets for coffee sometimes. I don't know if he thinks Sheets coffee is as good as I do. I've seen him walking around with Wawa cups before, and my heart breaks in half when I see that. Because that Wawa's our competitor when it comes to Sheets, the gas station I work at. They're very similar in how they operate and what they give out in their products. And Sheets has better coffee. Just saying.
So these books are part of the 10-year.
They are.
For
And
emergency.
he was able to bring me a copy so that I could read early, especially as I was doing my Gettysburg stuff. This was interesting. So I've already read through this before. Mm-hmm. This wasn't new to me when I got there, but I did bring it because I wanted Dan Wells to sign it. So I'm including this in the little list because this was awesome. And then the next one I get is released 2 days before he gets in his driveway, like 2 days before the symposium. So, of course, I'm not leaving without getting the Vicksburg and Tullahoma book. No. I'm also expecting Ed Barz's Vicksburg to be in the mail any time now from Savas Beatty. along with the history of Gettysburg by Batchelder. So like to have both of these when both of those books are coming out seems fitting because these two right here, again, when I say for fun reading, there's a method to my madness here. These can prep me to understand more what I'm about to read when those two come in because I'm going to be straight up forward. I have never read anything on Vicksburg.
I,
I have been
I
waiting for
know
more of
one
this book.
thing. I'm going to have to travel very light over to the United States because I'm going to be coming home with some books, and
Yes,
you know they're
bring a duffel
heavy.
bag.
They're heavy.
One of the other books that I got, now we're going into the Emerging Civil War series, and then I'm going to bring up the one. Well, first, before I do that, I want to show you one that my friend John McFarland gave us. And I'm sure you know John. He's on both of our pages. I think you just made him an admin of your page, actually. And now I have gotten orders from John to write a book report and I would give a full on talk about this. So, this is one that I should have added this to my human interest stories list. But this one's The Soldiering by Private Rice Bull. Private Rice Bull and me go way back. He goes a little bit farther back than I do. This guy was actually at Chancellorsville. I wasn't. I was just ready to talk to him once I got, you know, born and brought into the 21st century. He was 18th century or 19th century, excuse me. So it's a little different in gap there. But he was the first Civil War soldier that I could recollect a name from. And he was the first Civil War soldier whose accounts that I remembered as a kid when my dad gave me a VHS tape of the Civil War combat series. He is wounded at Chancellorsville, and he writes very vividly about being wounded and, you know, slumping down on the ground from 2 bullet wounds and feeling those pains and having to describe the scenes of being at a Union hospital at Fairview, which was not a pretty place to be at all, my friend. He's a very great writer. I do admire a lot of his work. And I think that he has an edit done with his diary, and it makes it so much more readable because, I mean, you can be the greatest writer in the world, but 19th century literature is very tough to read for your average Joe. I am your average Joe. It was very tough for me to read it.
Yeah.
And finding something like this, and I've always wanted to read his thing. And it's not that I've forgotten about him. It was just there were so many other books pressing, I didn't get to read it. But McFarland is going to be just a legend for being able to find that, pass that down to me. And the book report coming, John. Again, that was the greatest gift in Civil War people can give me is the literature I've been crying about and wanting to get forever, because those help me tell a story better too. I like telling it with their words more so than mine because I don't care what I have to say. I care what they have to say. I hope you guys do the same. Like, I'm just the voice for them. They can't talk to us anymore, but we can talk to them, and we can tell their story, and that's what we all do this for.
Yeah.
So we have a few more to go, and Darren, I know you said you got to go soon. I don't want to keep this too long, so I won't.
Yeah, I've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm roughly the same too. This one, a new friend as well, Sean Michael Chick, wrote a book on Bermuda 100, which is important because I have not been out to that yet, nor do I really study a lot about it. But I have been to this place called Fort Darling, or you guys may know it as Drury's Bluff, many, many times. And I haven't ever been able to bring something with me to read and really study more, as I haven't collected anything. So that was a good one to get, and good guy too. I had a couple beers with them and got to stay and talk in strange ways and just, talk about my trip to Louisiana when I come to visit him down in the French Quarter in New Orleans. I've never been down to New Orleans, let alone Louisiana. And it's another one of those never-ending bucket lists. So getting down there and seeing Louisiana is going to be crazy cool. Another book I've really wanted to get is these small but powerful Traces of the Bloody Struggle at Stevenson Ridge, where we have the symposium. It is on the Spotsylvania battlefield.
This is a brand new one, is it?
It's been out for a while. I just haven't been able to get a hands on it. It's by Chris Mikowski.
Yeah.
None other. Chris Mikowski is historian in residence there. He has to write this.
Oh, yeah. And that is where Burnside was, I understand. His Stevenson Ridge, is that right?
Yep. And
Burnside, he didn't act quick enough, did he? Or something. He didn't do anything, actually.
I didn't get the Joshua Chamberlain one because it'll be there when I get an interest enough to read Chamberlain. Not that I hate Chamberlain or anything, but we know the embellishments. I have 2 biographies of him that he wrote himself already, so I can wait. But I did, being a Gettysburg nut and actually really liking Bradley Gottfried quite a bit. Lincoln Comes to Gettysburg.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's about the creation of the Soldiers National Cemetery in Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. I'm always affinity to Lincoln. I've always had an affinity to this National Cemetery. I lived in a National Cemetery for some of my Park Service durations. So obviously me and a National Cemetery have quite a connection every time I go to one of them. So that was a given. Now, last but not least, we're going to do this last quick pile, and then maybe I can pick one of these today out of that. I know we talked about doing a book club as we were going to do Antietam. I realized how expensive some of those were, and that's not a bash to any of the authors that wrote the book that I was considering. So I'm going to announce this on the page after we do this, what book I'm picking, and we're actually going to start this next week. So we have a week. I know it's short notice, but a week to acquire. I will send links to different websites to get those books in the posting on when you will be able to get those and when we'll start. And if you don't have it, that's okay, because what I'd like to do is the first day we do this, I'm thinking maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I have to wait till I go to work and see what my hours will be like and when we'll do this. But I'm probably like an 8 p.m. thing in U.S. time, since that's the general time where everybody's off of work and available to sit down for a minute and possibly do that. So, Darren, if you look on your audiobooks, maybe these will be up. But I'll pick one out of this when I'm done, and I'll throw it out there and let everybody know. But I think it's going to be a very common one. I think we're going to do one that needs to be done. But the first one I'm reading, and this is the series once again, is The Environmental History of the Civil War by Judd Kim Browning and Timothy Silver. This one is the runner-up for the book club, and I'm really excited to dive into this. That's The Howling Storm, Weather, Climate, and the American Civil War. I would love to get Kenneth Noe on this show soon and talk to him. So I know we're friends on Facebook. Kenneth, and this video is on Facebook. If you happen to stumble upon this and just happen to watch this part, and I haven't reached out to you yet by this point, let me know. I would love to be able to have you on here for an hour or two and just, really dive into the book and talk about what your feelings are for it, and maybe just some insight on your view of the Civil War and how we're interpreting it now in many different ways, because I feel like this is another new approach to interpreting the Civil War. So that would be a great way to kind of open up another conversation we don't open up. And that these two here are really heavy, and I've had them and I've flipped through them, but I haven't been able to fully dive into them. First one is Fighting Means Killing, Civil War Soldiers and the Nature of Combat. That needs to be told too. And this dives into the mentality of killing another human being in warfare, and it goes into like things like hunting and how that played a part into the easiness to kill, and yada yada yada. I don't want to get too far into it until we finally read these and can discuss it. This comes highly recommended from a buddy of mine named John Cummings, who I think is an excellent historian and does excellent work in the Spotsylvania field, and I can't thank him enough for his work. Some Battle Courage, the experience of combat in the American Civil War, kind of goes hand in hand with Fighting Means Killing. A little bit older, written I think in the 80s, and it still holds its weight today. Two that are very popular, I think, in the world now is The Rifle Musket and Civil War Combat. This is a review for me. I kind of got the little interest to pull this down out of the box just because this weekend I'm shooting mortars. Now I'm getting into some of the weapons behind the scenes. This one I bought to go in junction with my Emory Upton research called Civil War Infantry Tactics, so I can get a more idea of the linear tactics and some of the dated and outdated tactics used during the war. Last but not least, and I think it's going to be going ahead to jump to our book club title of this closing of the getting into the fall and end of the summer. That is The War for the Common Soldier: How Men Fought, and Survived in Civil War America. And that's going to be done and written by none other than Peter Carmichael. So if you guys have access to that, I know it's on Audible. I know it's on Kindle. I know there's paperback release now, so it's affordable. The book we did choose was To Antietam Creek, and that was still a $50 to $60 book in paperback. It's not cheap. That's not really accessible, and I don't want to put that on you people, because obviously we can't pay for your book. You're going to have to pick that up on your own, and that's with everybody going around. I wish the Unfiltered Historian crew could just we could pay our members to get that, the people that are with the crew. And maybe one day we can, but that's not a priority right now. Our priority is bringing you the best history we can bring you. But yeah, I will address the posting later, and we'll get some logistical things down and figure out how the hell we're going to run this book club. And Darren, do you have any questions or concerns or anything?
No, I'm just going to tell everyone again that obviously you changed the name of the blog posts.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put that up on Facebook later.
Yeah, thank you.
Because there was a few posts that went out today with the original name on it, so now they'll be, you won't be able to access anything through that. And also at some point as well, Tyler is going to set up Linktree, so everything the Unfiltered Historian does is available in one place.
Correct.
And we'll go on the Facebook page for everyone to access all of the content that comes out of the Unfiltered Historians.
And Joey, the guy that I took around the battlefield, said, "You still have the mocha in all caps." Yes, I do. It's a little chilly now. But it's still doing its job and keeping me awake so that I can, go do some stuff today and come back and bring you guys some more information before I take a power nap for work, and then come back and do
Yeah.
maybe another coffee video
And,
tomorrow.
and also, just before I go, I am planning on doing a couple lives in the next few weeks somewhere, and I've got some interesting little spots I'm going to pop up. So I might pop up at some point. Obviously, with the time difference, it'll most likely be sort of like mid-morning in America. But
Sure.
no,
Well,
that's all. That's all
awesome.
I've got to say today.
That's all you've got. I mean, I think on my end, I'm pretty set myself. Folks, again, I do appreciate you, Darren. I see you have unstructured historian still on there. I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, don't worry about that.
Where are we going to put that? We got to have you on there somehow as the unstructured historian. We can keep it in Restream, but I mean, I think you should make a page. You should get an unstructured page, or we should find a way to get you a logo like we do on the stuff that I've gotten the unfiltered one. If we could all get one of us pointing a picture of us together while you're here,
Yeah.
me, you, Tim, and John, we just got to get one picture of us back to back like Charlie's Angels pointing instead of the guns. A 4 back-to-back picture, not like this, but everybody pointing out on a field, and then I'll have one of those graphic designers that make our logos make one of
I've got a
those.
little something to tell you. My wife is actually going to make a little key ring, and on the back of the key ring, so we're going to get an unfiltered historian one made up, and I'll bring it over with me. But on the back, there will be a QR code which you can scan off of a smartphone. So when somebody asks you out on the field,
man.
Who are you with? The unfiltered, because I have it all the time. Someone goes to me, "What are you filming?" And I say American Civil War and UK history, and they go, "Oh, what's the channel called again?" And I need to get some cards because
but now that's the way to do it.
I'm going to have a key ring, and I can just go, "Yeah, I'll get your phone out and scan it."
Virtual business cards is one of the smartest things I've ever heard of. I like it.
Straight to your content.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
We're going to get that sorted.
Oh, that's going to be bringing a smile to my face. More people, more access to this. Again, we love to have as many of you able to see this and be part of this as possible, because our goal in all this is not to get a bunch of viewers just for viewers. Our goal is to get those viewers so that we can bring that history to a broader reach than it has been, and maybe break that traditional mold of online history isn't the way to learn, because I have definitely learned so much more, even almost, with the online setting than I have just sitting down and reading a book on my own. Not that the books are bad at all. The books do an amazing job in teaching me. In fact, that's most of how I've been able to learn. But I do think that online history has a very promising future. And I can't wait to see where this thing goes. Mm-hmm. And until next time, guys, check on the page for this afternoon. There's going to be some postings going on, and I might even pop on this afternoon and have a chat before I go to work. Because like I said, I have enough caffeine to keep me going for the rest of the day. And I have enough sleep in me for probably 2-3 people from what I've done the past 3 days. I took some big naps yesterday, almost 12, 13, 14 hours sleep. And now I'm like, oh God, I'm going to be up for another whole day, because you can't do that when you're me. I sleep 13 hours. That's enough sleep for 3 days. That's what happens when you work these crazy schedules and have a love for history like that. Sleep is something that you're going to have to just go ahead and make up for when you're a little bit older and you have the availability to do so. Because right now I'm on a grind to bring history and to bring coffee to people at work, because I really enjoy my work there, and I really enjoy talking to customers who got travel all the time. It's been cool, and I enjoy talking to y'all. So you guys have a great morning. I hope to see you guys a little after lunchtime in the Eastern Standard Time, so somewhere around the 1:30, 2 o'clock, 3, somewhere in there. But I just to give me enough time to take a power nap for work, but I still want to get some talking done, maybe even some World of Warships, who knows. Unstructured, thank you so much, or Darren, thank you so much. I hope everything's good across the pond. Please go enjoy that great weather. I'm going to go enjoy the shite weather that we have here. I think we traded a little bit. We have the traditional English weather. You guys have the Virginia weather. So keep it, enjoy it. Let me know if you have a few minutes later this afternoon. We can maybe get together and just do some bullshit on here.
I think I might be able to do a little bit later.
That's when I'd be looking at, like, I have to work at 9, so anytime between like 1 o'clock and 9 o'clock, I have availability to go live, so we can do that. Okay,
we'll figure something out. Okay,
yes, cool. We will, folks. Well, again, as we say, thank you all so much for watching and engaging, and we will see you again this afternoon.
Cheers.
Folks.